Sam Pittman and the Arkansas Razorbacks just fired their offensive coordinator, Dan Enos, after finishing this week bottom 100 in passing and rushing, only scoring 3 points against Mississippi State in their first year in a rebuilding phase, obviously tragically losing Mike Leach. And Sam Pittman, in his own words, had to do something, Drew. The Razorbacks are 2-6 this season and winless in the SEC on their longest losing streak since 2019. So something had to change. And Drew, after this Dan Enos firing, the question is Sam Pittman next? What do you think?
Yeah, you mentioned something has to change, and Dan Enos is gone now. The next thing that might be changing is Sam Pittman might be gone. Now, let me say this before I get into anything. I like Sam Pittman. He's a great coach. Players love to play for him. He can recruit very well. But as a coach, your job is to get your team better the longer you're there for. You need to see improvement year by year by year by year. When Sam Pittman got there in 2020, Arkansas was in a very bad spot. He got them three conference wins, which I believe those were Arkansas's first SEC wins in like a couple years at that point. And then in 2021, they kind of peaked out, I think. They got to, I think, as high as number 8 at one point in 2021. And then ever since then, there hasn't been much improvement since. And you can make arguments that, well, this player isn't here, this player isn't here. Arkansas still has a lot of playmakers that were there a couple years ago when they were doing well. They still got KJ Jefferson. They still got Rocket Sanders. They still got some playmakers on the defense. They still got some receivers that are really good. So the results need to start improving as you are there with your players. And it just hasn't been the case for Sam Pittman. Last year, 2022, obviously was a step back from where they were in 2021. And then obviously this year, 2-6, no conference wins, could very potentially finish winless in conference play. They still got Florida, they still got Auburn, they still got Missouri. Maybe they can win one or two of those. I'm not sure. But you just fired your offensive coordinator. How much better can you really get from this point forward? And that's the reason that Sam Pittman's firing has really been brought up as a topic lately.
Yeah, and coming off of averaging only 2.9 yards per play last game, that Arkansas offense is the worst I couldn't even finish watching that game. It was that bad. I love defense, Drew, you know this, but that was horrendous on the eyes. And the number one thing, you mentioned it, you want your players to get better and better every single year you're there as the head coach. We expected KJ Jefferson to take a big step up last year. You and me were talking big on the Razorbacks at the beginning of last season because we thought that would be the case. And fast forward all the way to now in the middle of the 2023 season, KJ Jefferson has not improved, Drew. He's good in the pocket and stuff. He can run the football well, but he cannot throw the football. That's been holding him back. And also, with Sam Pittman being an O-line coach, you would expect their O-line to be a lot better than it is. Their O-line has been a struggle so far this season, and that's another big thing. But one of the biggest things that Sam Pittman has done is bring in Travis Williams as his defensive coordinator. We know the last couple of years, it has been their defense that was historically bad in the past. They had a good front seven. They had, great NFL linebackers, but their pass defense was absolutely horrendous. They bring in former Auburn linebacker and co-defensive coordinator Travis Williams, and their defense has turned around. They are looking good. Now, with that being said, they're getting their offense in good field position, and they can't get anything done. So is that Dan Enos or is that, Sam Pittman? Because, like I just said, he was an O-line coach at Georgia, a great O-line coach. We live in the state of Georgia, and people were, talk about Sam Pittman like he's one of the best coaches at Georgia, which he was. But, it's just rare for you to see an O-line coach get the credit like that. But that just goes to show you how widely respected Sam Pittman is. But the O-line's bad, and KJ Jefferson hasn't looked better. Now, they did lose their offensive coordinator last year, that they had last year to TCU. So I knew that they were going to take a step back offensively, but nobody could have predicted this. This is Dan Enos' second stint at Arkansas, and it just did not fit well. But as far as Sam Pittman's firing goes, I do not think he should be fired because it has been a coordinator carousel the last couple of years. Now, if there is another season like this, I could see it. But personally, I'm high on Sam Pittman if you can't tell already. I think he's a great coach. And it's just unfortunate that he's had two defensive coordinators that, the last two seasons and two offensive and defensive coordinators, both, two new ones the last 2 years. It's just hard to build something whenever you have coordinators constantly coming in and out.
Yeah, I agree. And the thing with coordinators and head coaching, it's a lot of people tend to blame the head coach for, offensive coordinator being as bad because the head coaches are the one bringing them in. But at the same time, you're always taking a gamble when you bring in someone new. You don't know if they're going to help your team or, harm your team. So in a way, it is Sam Pittman's fault that Dan Enos was a bad offensive coordinator. But at the same time, you don't know what you're going to get from a guy until you bring him in. And that's just kind of the gamble you take when you're a head coach. And that's just kind of the things you sign up for. Now, the thing when I talk about Sam Pittman being fired, personally, in a way, I don't want to see Sam Pittman fired from his head coaching job. I like Sam Pittman. But at the same time, I think Arkansas is going to have to ask some questions about, for one, who's going to be available by the time the season ends as far as head coaching goes. Is there someone that could maybe fit this Arkansas team better than Sam Pittman? And is there anyone out there that might have a better offensive mind or defensive mind that Arkansas thinks that they can bring this guy in and do a better job than Sam Pittman? What Sam Pittman did at Arkansas is absolutely incredible. I mean, you guys don't understand like how bad Arkansas was in 2017 and 2018. I mean, this is a team that was getting blown out by teams like North Texas, New Mexico State, teams of that nature. I'm not talking losing. I'm talking about getting legitimately blown out. So we got to give Sam Pittman a lot of credit for what he's done. And I know that this isn't going to be a thing, or this wasn't going to be a thing for Sam Pittman to turn this program complete 180 in a couple years. But you don't want to see a head coach get to a position where you're going through coordinators year after year, and you don't want to see a situation where your head coach peaks your team out too early, and then from that point on, that they're just on a constant decline, and you don't know if they're ever going to go back up again. So as far as my opinion goes, whether Sam Pittman should be fired or not, in a way, it's all going to depend on what's available after this season. I mean, and really, I'm not really sure what the Arkansas boosters and what's going on behind the scenes of what they think they would want as a head coach. I think Sam Pittman's a great head coach for the SEC. I think he fits in very well in any SEC team that he goes to.
Yeah, Drew. And after this firing, I think that shows that Sam Pittman is on the hot seat, So after this season, if something does come up, like you mentioned, I wouldn't be surprised if they do make a move. But in my opinion, like I mentioned earlier, I don't think that should be the case because of all the coordinators coming in and out for him. And like you mentioned, he has turned the program from absolutely in the dirt to, a respectable team in the SEC until this season. And even then, they have been in these games against, the Alabamas. But in their last 4 games, of course, against Mississippi State, they only scored 3 points and then 21, 20, and 22 points scored. That is not enough points in the SEC, and that's just not going to get you wins. The defense has been steadily improving, and I think because of that, Sam Pittman's probably going to keep his job. But next season, if you do not see this Arkansas teams take a step forward, he could be gone. I think that'll be the case.
All right, well, that's going to do it for this video, guys. As always, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Please leave below in the comment section what you think Sam Pittman's future is going to be like. Is he going to be gone after this year? Does he deserve another year? Just anything that's on your mind about this situation, please let us know. I know there's some Arkansas fans that are on this channel. I've seen a couple of y'all in the comment section, so I'm curious to see what y'all have to say about it. But that's going to do it for this video, guys. We'll see you in the next one.